Water lapped against Kyra Elsan's thighs as she forced her way through what used to be Meridian Settlement's main street. Rain hammered down from a slate gray sky, turning familiar paths into dangerous, shifting canals. Floating debris bumped against her legs, broken crates, pieces of roof paneling, someone's overturned hover cart. 16 years. That was how long she had lived here, and now the settlement looked like a dying thing, half drowned and gasping. She tightened her grip on the leather satchel slung over her shoulder, keeping it well above the waterline. Inside were the settlement's backup memory drives, the sum of their records, histories, and identities. Her father's last words before sending her out echoed in her head. Get the drives. Come straight back. Simple. Or it should have been. The scaled creature trembled in her arms. Kira glanced down. The little thing was no larger than a house cat, its emerald scales dulled by cold and fear. Tiny wings twitched against her jacket, and a long tail curled instinctively around her wrist, as if anchoring itself to her. I know, she whispered, trying to keep her voice steady. Just stay still, I won't drop you. She'd found it pinned beneath a collapsed beam near the eastern perimeter, water rising fast. Intelligent eyes, too intelligent, had met hers through the wreckage. She hadn't thought. She'd just acted. Now she was carrying something that should not exist. The flood wasn't supposed to be this bad. Meridian had been engineered for seasonal storms, homes on stilts, deep drainage channels, overflow basins carved into bedrock. But 3 straight days of relentless rain had overwhelmed everything. The Planetary Council called it a once-in-5 centuries event. The locals called it the end. The creature shivered again, its scales shifting subtly from emerald to a deeper blue, green as it pressed closer to her warmth. When Kira brushed her fingers along its spine, faint geometric patterns flared beneath the scales, precise, symmetrical, almost like symbols. Writing. Her breath caught. That's not possible. Her xenobiology lessons surfaced unbidden. Draconis stellaris, stellar dragons. Declared extinct more than 3 centuries ago, lost during the collapse along with most of Earth's fauna transplant projects. Fairy tales, everyone said. A distant boom rolled across the settlement, followed by the rising wail of evacuation sirens. Her father. Kira forced herself forward, splashing faster through knee-deep water. The creature chirped softly, clinging to her with surprising strength. The community center rose ahead, reinforced walls, flood-resistant foundations, lights blazing against the storm. Her father stood at the entrance, directing volunteers with sharp, efficient gestures. "Kyra," he shouted when he saw her. Relief flashed across his face, then vanished as his eyes locked on what she was holding. "What is that?" She hesitated. Harboring unregistered xeno-life was illegal. After the collapse, invasive species had wiped out entire worlds. The law was absolute. It was trapped, she said finally. It was going to drown. Thomas Elson stepped closer. The creature chose that moment to unfold its wings. Translucent membranes stretched wide, veined with light. Its scales flared, patterns rippling across its body like living equations. Her father went pale. "Be the stars." "You see it too," Kira said quietly. "That's a stellar dragon," he whispered. "They're extinct." "Apparently not." Murmurs rippled through the gathered evacuees. An elderly woman pushed forward, eyes bright with something close to reverence. "The cycle begins anew," Marielle Oswin declared. "The child of stars returns to the daughter of water." "Enough," Thomas snapped. "This is not the time for myths." But even he couldn't stop staring at the shifting patterns glowing beneath the dragon's scales. Before Kira could say anything more, the emergency comm system crackled. Atmospheric alert. Unregistered craft approaching from the northwest. 23 signatures. No response to hails. Fear swept the crowd like a living thing. The dragon stiffened. Its patterns intensified, pulsing faster. It let out a sharp, urgent keening and wriggled free of Kira's grasp. "Hey, wait!" she cried. It darted across the floor and through the open doors into the flooded courtyard. Kira ran after it. Outside, rain fell harder, drumming against water and stone. The dragon perched atop a half-submerged statue at the courtyard's center, wings spread wide. The sky moved. Dark shapes descended through breaks in the clouds, sleek vessels that reflected no light, moving with impossible grace. The dragon's scales blazed blue, white patterns flowing in deliberate sequences. It was signaling them. "Kira," her father shouted from the doorway, "get back inside!" "No," she said, suddenly certain. "It's not attacking, it's—" The beam came down like a pillar of stars, bathing the courtyard in white light. The dragon leapt, skimming across the water, and bounded toward her. Security raised their rifles. "Don't shoot." Kira threw herself between them and the creature. The dragon circled her once, then rose on its hind limbs, front claws extended. "Pick me up." She didn't question it. She scooped the creature into her arms. The beam narrowed, enveloping them both. Kira felt no heat, no pain, only the unmistakable sensation of being examined, measured, understood. Then the light withdrew. The ships dispersed, tracing geometric patterns identical to those on the dragon's scales before vanishing into the clouds. Silence fell. The dragon chirped contentedly, curling against Kira's chest as if nothing extraordinary had happened. Marielle's voice broke the hush. "The covenant has been acknowledged." Kira didn't answer. She couldn't. She only knew one thing with absolute certainty. This wasn't over. 15 years passed. Kira Elson stood on the observation deck of Harmonic Station, Earth turning slowly below her. At 31, she wore the uniform of a planetary liaison, her posture calm, controlled, practiced. At her throat hung a pendant, a scaled teardrop containing a sliver of iridescent material. All that remained of Stellan. The dragon had stayed 3 months after the flood, then vanished into the stars, leaving behind one shed scale and a life rewritten. The council had classified everything. Kira had been relocated, trained, watched, prepared. Now the sensors had detected them again. A fleet, approaching from the same vector as before. "They're not invaders," Kira said to the assembled council hours later. "They're returning." Mockery, doubt, fear, until the images came up on the holo display, vessels forming patterns she recognized instantly. "They're waiting," she said, "for me." Against every instinct of caution and politics, she invoked First Contact Authority and boarded the emissary vessel alone. Inside, space bent, light flowed, reality softened, and the dragon waited. "I am Astrolix," the presence said inside her mind. Voice of the conclave. They showed her the breach, an unintended wound in reality caused by Earth's shimmer shields. A doorway to entropy itself. And the solution, her. A bridge between species, between perception and technology. A conduit to reweave the pattern. "You would not lose yourself," Astrolix told her. "You would become more." Kira thought of floodwater, of a trembling hatchling, of a choice made without thought of reward. "I accept," she said. The transformation reshaped more than her body. Her mind expanded, layered reality upon reality. She guided dragon and human systems in harmony, reconfiguring the shields, sealing the breach. The universe stabilized. Earth endured. From orbit, Kira watched her world spin beneath her, unchanged and yet forever different. Once, water had lapped at her thighs as she saved a single life. Now stars themselves answered her will. The pattern was complete, and it had all begun with kindness.